Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we're going to be doing a 2021 Xpeng stock analysis. Before I start the video, guys, please make sure to leave a like on the video below. Subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. Join the family, guys. Let's go on our investor journey together. So today we're going to be doing a 2021 Xpeng stock analysis and where I actually think Xpeng stock is going to be headed in the year of 2021. If you guys don't know what Xpeng stock actually does, or Xpeng as a company itself, it is another EV company that happens to be based out of China. Obviously, a lot of EV companies have been getting a lot of heat recently. We have definitely seen, after the historic Tesla run, a lot more people are really starting to get a lot more bullish on the EV industry in itself. And people are really wondering, what is the best EV stock to buy? What are some of the best EV stocks to buy? And that's why today we're actually going to be talking about Xpeng. I actually do think people should be picking up Xpeng stock at $45.54. Obviously, everything I say in my videos is not financial advice. It's just my personal opinion. But the reason why I do think people should be picking up Xpeng stock is we have seen the EV market in itself. It's really starting to grow. It's really starting to evolve. And it's really starting to mature. We have seen so many EV companies IPO this year alone, Xpeng being one of them. We're going to go here and dive into the 5-year chart. This thing just IPO'd August 26th of 2020, and the 5-year chart looks pretty good ever since IPO, up 97%. Going here to the 3-month chart, we do see that Xpeng stock is up 130%. And I do think Xpeng is a big growth stock, and I actually do think people should invest in Xpeng. I could see a lot of long-term growth potential from Xpeng as a company in itself, especially taking a look of how much the EV market is really starting to grow. Even in China alone, they're expecting 20% of all car sales to be electric cars by the year of 2025, and they expect that number to jump up all the way up to 50% by the year of 2035. So there's a lot of bullish outlook on the EV industry itself, and really dissecting Xpeng as a company in itself. Like I said, Xpeng is an EV company. They currently offer 2 vehicles, which is the P7. The P7 is a sedan that kind of replicas the Model S. It's an absolute beautiful sedan, and it's really up-to-date technology. If you have not seen the schematics or the inside of the P7, it's absolutely beautiful. And they also offer a G3 SUV. Now, taking a look at it from a bigger perspective, Xpeng is one of the 3 EV companies that are based out of China. We do have NIO, after all, Xpeng, and Li Auto as well. Xpeng being second in share price, NIO being first, and Li Auto being third. We did get a recent look at Xpeng's deliveries, and as expected, Xpeng did absolutely fantastic with their deliveries, beating even their own estimates, which is always a good sign that we're seeing the sales of Xpeng as a company. They're starting to increase, and that's always a good sign when you're taking a look at it from a bullish outlook. You do want sales to increase. Xpeng as a company right now is operating at a loss, and for people who don't know what that means, companies can still be public and operate at a loss. Take, for example, Tesla, who operated at a loss for 15 years. But the reason why I do think Xpeng stock is a very good buy at these prices is Xpeng actually did have a high of $75 before it kind of started to fizzle down a little bit. And I actually do think in the year of 2021, Xpeng is going to revisit these all-time highs. And like I said, along with the bullish outlook of the EV industry, really the rampant and explosive growth that we've been seeing, Xpeng is going to be a top representative of the Chinese EV game. Really, I can see Xpeng being a top EV company in China. And people also have to understand that there can be more than room for just one EV company, or even a top EV company in itself. Take a look at the general car manufacturer in itself. We have Toyota, we have Honda, we have Dodge, we have Ford. There's so many car companies out there, and they all do very, very well. I do think that Xpeng is going to be a top competitor among the EV game in itself. So really, we did get a good look at Xpeng's deliveries going back to that, and they were absolutely amazing. Like I said, beating their estimates. Really taking a look at Xpeng's outlook, the biggest thing that Xpeng actually did was they started selling cars in Norway. Now, why is this important? The reason why Xpeng making that jump to start expanding its EV prowess into the European markets is because Xpeng is really making that extra step to start growing as fast as possible, and them really starting to expand outside of a different area other than China really goes to show that, Xpeng is really trying to get its name out there as fast as possible, and expanding to Europe, it's not been done by another Chinese EV company. So Xpeng making that first step really gave me a more bullish outlook on Xpeng, that Xpeng as a company isn't really playing around. They're trying to be a top EV company, and they're doing whatever it takes to try to expand as fast as possible. Like I said, Xpeng selling cars in Norway was a huge bullish sentiment, and even a lot of analysts are backing Xpeng stock. People from like Deutsche Bank and all these big time investors really do think that Xpeng stock is going to be a top EV company. But Xpeng really starting to expand. We got a very good look at their delivery estimates, and Xpeng working very, very hard to perfect the self-autonomous driving technology, which is a huge catalyst in the EV game in itself. It is probably the biggest catalyst right now, and it's what a lot of EV companies are actually kind of racing towards. Now, yes, you have to understand that with a self-autonomous driving system, it is very difficult to perfect. It is very difficult to kind of go on the bullish outlook. You cannot make mistakes with self-autonomous driving just due to the simple fact that if something were to happen to someone inside the vehicle, it is a huge liability on the company. But Xpeng being one of the other EV companies that's racing towards the self-autonomous driving technology, and they just recently signed a contract with a company to help them start perfecting the self-autonomous driving technology. So on top of Xpeng beating its delivery estimates, them starting to expand into the European markets and trying to perfect the self-autonomous driving technology, Xpeng is really starting to get kind of more of a bullish outlook, and it's really starting to heat up the competition among the EV game. Now, taking a look at all the factors in itself, really with the EV market starting to mature, Xpeng's delivery is being absolutely amazing, and I do expect a lot better in the first quarter of 2021 that Xpeng sales are going to be very, very good. Xpeng working and perfecting the self-autonomous driving technology in itself and really starting to expand into the European markets really gives me a bullish outlook on Xpeng stock in the year of 2021. So where does this leave my overall price prediction on Xpeng stock? Where do I think Xpeng stock is going to be headed in the year of 2021? I actually do think Xpeng stock is going to hit $100, and if it does not hit $100, I actually do think Xpeng stock is going to revisit the 52-week high mark. And the reason I say this is because right now, Xpeng stock currently sitting at $45.54. In my opinion, is currently undervalued for how much the company is actually growing at a rapid rate. I could see Xpeng stock really hitting all-time highs this year alone. And like I said, a lot of people may think that the EV market in itself is just a bubble. And I can understand that a lot of people like to compare it to the dot-com bubble in itself. But taking a look at it from the bigger perspective, these EV companies are offering something great that I think people just aren't used to, that a lot of big time and even old time investors are starting to see it as just like, okay, this is just a bubble, it's going to crash, etc., etc. When in reality, battery power is going to change the world, and it's probably going to be battery power that kind of leads us into the next decade. If you're taking a look at it from a bigger perspective, battery power is really going to start taking over the world because there's so much you can do with it. Battery power does not only go in vehicles, it goes in trains, it goes in trucks, and there's so many people racing out there to really try to perfect those types of companies. You have seen how many companies this year have IPO'd alone, including Xpeng, because they know that there's a lot of money to be made in the market. This is what another bullish factor overall together. I do think that it's going to drive Xpeng stock upward. I do think that people should pick up Xpeng stock, $45.54. Obviously, everything I say in my videos is not financial advice. It's just my personal opinion, but take the opportunity and really look into the company. And I really have a big bullish outlook on Xpeng stock, along with a lot of big time analysts who say Xpeng stock is going to be a top EV company. With that being said, guys, that's all I really have to say about the video. Let me know down in the comment section below, guys, what you think of Xpeng stock. Do you think Xpeng stock is a good buy, $45.54? If you guys own Xpeng stock, how many shares do you guys own and what's your average? I'm always very curious to know. With that being said, guys, thank you. Have a great day.